you enjoy your break time battles there? Another one bites the dust against a top-tier CRL pro. Pompeo been doing it at a high level for a very, very long time. Speaking about high level for a long time, Andrew, we have a lot of veterans in this next one coming up. Cream Royale Venice against Space Station Gaming. A lot of players who've been here since season one. A lot of newer players in the mix as well. I think the big question for this one, Andrew, comes down to a referendum on the 2v2. Are AC and RF able to get on the same page for Space Station? Is Cream as good as their record, or is it just that they've played against mid to sub-tier 2v2 competition?
Well, what's crazy about Cream is Belican. Belican has emerged as a head-to-head star when we all thought it was going to be ex-Pedro 15, but Belican 2-0 Lucas, he 2-0 Jupiter King. He's done a lot of work in King of the Hill since their very first matchup sweeping Team Liquid. This is massive. I think Cream is better than what everyone thinks. I think they're actually as good, or if not better, than their record is suggests at 3-2. They're a force to be reckoned with right now, and it's a lot because of Belican, but also when Diego and Michigan went down in that opening 2v2 set. They have been almost unstoppable. However, they really did struggle against Azili's and both back in their last match. So I'm excited to see what they do today against another top-tier 2v2 duo. That being said, is SSG still a top-tier 2v2 duo? It feels crazy to be saying that out loud, but what we've seen lately from them just feels a little bit off from where they've been before.
Yeah, it becomes a weird question where I don't know how much is actually answered about either one of these two squads. You know, you have Cream Royale Venice, who they're 4-1 in these sets in 2v2, but they beat the struggling Team Liquid, Razor and Canario. They beat Dignitas, who's been up and down in 2v2. Benny-Hu and Kuchiku, Sweep and Wallace. There's no 2v2 duo there where you're like, oh, they beat a monster. On the other side, AC and RF, can they get themselves in rhythm? I think that'll define a lot about how this match goes.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 and 5s that they rejoined together in that 2v2 set, which is a much lower win percentage than we're used to seeing those guys together. They're in the same house, they're in the same place, they're communicating in the same room. So let's find out if they can bounce back in the 2v2 against Diego E and Michibu. Cream versus Space Station Gaming. Let's go.
Royale Venice is coming off of a upset win. If they can do Tribe Gaming and Space Station back-to-back, they suddenly become one of the scariest teams in the division. A lot's been talked about the 2v2 matchup so far between these two teams. King of the Hill has been all about huge performances as well. Of course, St. Belican with his opening sweep for Cream Royale Venice, and overall in King of the Hill, he has been phenomenal on the season. Killing it for Cream Royale Venice there, and also in that third and final set alongside the 2v2 work of Michiku and Diego. The question was Pedro, but they haven't needed him thus far.
Yeah, AC joining us a bit late this season for Space Station Gaming, but he's here and he's ready to go. Lapacani, Samuel DeSoto, and the God RF rounding out that roster. And for Space Station Gaming, it's been a little bit interesting. You talk about that 2v2 duo, Lapacani and the God RF working so well together, but that got replaced by AC as soon as he came back from his suspension. Lapacani and Samuel DeSoto have both been a little bit back and forth. Samuel should be their go-to head-to-head guy for that third and final set. But Lapacani took it most recently when they went against Misfits for a 2-0 Schwarzer.
Here we go. Let's jump into the opening set. 2v2, Diego E and Michiku 4-1 in sets, 9 and 5 in games against one of the longest standing duos in the game, all the way back to season 1 fall with Immortus.
Here at DC and RF right-hand side of your screen, top of your screen as well, banning Balloon. The first time we've seen Balloon banned this season in 2v2. Diego E and Michiku, left-hand side of your screen, and of course at the bottom,
and RF, and particularly because they love running double graveyard. And the blue ban means that they don't have to worry about that. They can build a good double graveyard deck when they want it, and it gets rid of that graveyard blue combination, which can be so frustrating.
Now, one thing I am curious is that we see the Fishman off the board and the balloon off the board. Does that mean maybe we see Royal Giant graveyard? We saw that earlier today. It didn't actually work out. But these two bands, it could be much stronger. You throw Lightning in the mix and take out a building. You could have yourself a recipe for success.
Well, Andrew, we're talking about all the different possibilities out there. 3 cards that are still in the mix: Beto, Giant Skeleton, and Rocket. You don't see a whole ton of Rocket in 2v2 because of how often Beto's banned, but I'm very curious to see if anyone does go that direction. You should expect us to at least 1 tornado, if not 2 on each side.
Yeah, so right now it's just a battle of and the Giants throwing in there. Why not? Do a little easy night. Right there.
Ooh, that's a pretty good one. Let's see, how about there we go, there's a Kissing Hog Rider for us.
So ACRF actually communicating a lot here, even though, I mean, all 4 gentlemen here actually saying quite a bit to one another, probably guessing what their opponents are running, which is funny because there hasn't been a card played yet, so it's all speculation. And we see Diego and Michigan go hot and heavy right-hand side, AC and RF a little bit lighter on the left.
It's weird. I think about this, Andrew. How many times have we seen a staring contest in 2v2? Almost never. So very, very curious to see that happen here today.
And there is the Lightning. The Lightning, though, misses the Electro Wizard from Diego E and Michiku, so that's a really bad Lightning from Cream here. AC and RF recognizing the opening. They go on the heavy offense of the Royal Giant.
Beto does save the day, and again, we see the first of what I expect would be at least 2 Betos in this matchup. It would be shocking to see AC and RF run a deck that has 0 when it is possible, but we'll see what happens. Lava Hound sets up on the left-hand side for Cream.
So a couple of calls here from both you and myself. You talking about what you were just saying there. You add in the layer of the Royal Giant graveyard from AC and RF, which makes sense with the bans, and of course the Lightning coming out for Diego and Michiku as they're going heavy in the air. They want to be able to take down any building that may come in the way. So, we were able to call it a little bit, which means I'm sure the analysts were expecting something different.
Beto plays defense again, and the Royal Giant really struggles with the amount of cloggage you can do in this game. Not to mention just the ability to put a building down. When you add NATO into the mix, it's so hard to get RG on the board. My wonder, Andrew, in this matchup is if the Royal Giant plays more to get things out of cycle and graveyard is the bigger damage.
That's what I think. I think you definitely go for, well, apparently right now it's the Lumberjack. I think you do go graveyard to get the damage in on tower. The RG is more about getting things out of sequence. And it looks like RF and AC might have recognized that, as they are never committing too much on those Royal Giant pushes.
Here we go, final minute, triple elixir on its way. Cream sets up the Goblin Cage on defense, and again, pressure out of Space Station.
And I like this. I like going Giant Skeleton plus Graveyard first, because that mini pack that keeps coming out and eating up that Royal Giant. So instead, you get that mini pack to work for you and have to take down Giant Skeleton.
RG does not connect with tower, doesn't really matter. Right now, it's all about just forcing the win of this bridge battle. Heat is high, being taken for by the Mega Knight, so Inferno Dragon not doing a whole lot. Firebolt goes to tower rather than the bridge fight. Doesn't matter. Mega Knight leaps in. This is absolutely huge for Space Station.
Yeah, that was a pretty incredible bridge battle that we saw there for a moment, but the big problem was just not enough damage on the ground for Cream. So we see a very quiet first minute of gameplay. Space Station Gaming was Royal Giant Graveyard against Cream's Lava Hound, and they end up taking a very, very nice W here.
Yeah, really, really clean win. It was, you see the rare staring contest, and it seems strange to say this with Lava Hound. I wonder if Diego and Michiku, because of how slow it is to get damage on tower, for a Lava Hound deck, if they might have benefited from playing Green Single on the game.
Yeah, maybe, and there was actually a Lightning in the hand of the God RF as well, so they go Royal Giant, Lightning, plus Graveyard, but their opponents though having nothing to Lightning throughout that entire game, never actually did need to be necessary. This is where that Lumberjack cruises on through the tower, getting taken by the Skeletons for a second, keeps up that Fuel Spirit, and then gets a bunch of swings in.
And you mentioned that earlier Lightning, Andrew, that only got a Mega Knight, and look,
a lead. And then, of course, playing from behind with Lava Hound. And you look at this Lava Hound deck construction, they don't have balloons. They don't have miner. What they have is Lava Hound. So the idea for them was to try and get big, beefy pushes coming across and actually chipping away with that Lava Hound plus on the back end, but their opponents just have so much spell power, too much firepower, excuse me.
Yeah, again, it comes back to my question of, I understand the steering contest and you're playing Lava Hound in 1v1, although that doesn't happen anymore. Now people play Lava first play. It's pretty much the meta at this point for Lava Hound. I'm a little bit curious about waiting in 2v2. Waiting for level elixir just seems like you're asking for trouble.
Well, they weren't going for Lava Moon pushes, and they weren't going for Lava Miner pushes, so it does feel like at least dropping one Lava Hound and single elixir to blunt your opponent would have been a good idea, right? It's not an overcommit. It's one card. Your opponent's full on elixir, or excuse me, your teammate's full on elixir, so they can probably adequately defend. But if your win condition is 2 Lava Hounds with a bunch behind it and it not being a balloon, that's a really hard push to put together. You at least need to figure out what your opponent's got in the tank.
So, I mean, I guess the big question here is, are we seeing a little bit of the crack in the armor for Cream Royale Betis? We talked a lot about their 2v2 skill set, but they already fell to one elite duo in Brookmac and Azealis, and right now look out of their element against another seasoned veteran, another elite duo in AC and RF.
Yeah, that's a very, very, I think, eloquent way of putting it. Just kind of out of their element. They weren't completely outplayed, but they were just straight out of their element in the sense that they never were able to get on offense. They just kind of dropped Lava Hounds when they had the elixir for it, and that was really the end of the thought process.
So no waiting this time around. Cycle from RF, dropping the skeleton, and this baby dragon coming out, and again, early pressure from Cream Royale Betis. Yeah, I mean, with how popular Musketeer still is, despite the nerf, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Seeing Lightning get into the mix more in 2v2 seems to make sense.
Yeah, especially with Hunter popping in more and more in 1v1 and 2v2. There's great targets there for that Lightning.
And that log doesn't let the Lumberjack escape, no log the opposite direction to make sure it does not hit on tower. Cream cycles Darkrin to the right-hand side, Mega Knight in response. Keeping track of cycle is so difficult in general in Druid. Think about it in 2v2. How do you keep track of when and where a spell like a lightning user is not going to hit?
Yeah, it becomes tough, and it's one of those things that you have to talk to a 2v2 pro about a little bit more. Is how many cycles through does it take them to recognize where and when spells or cards can be played? Obviously, you can't do it on the first one, you can't do it on the second one. Maybe by the third time you see a card, you can kind of figure it out and think. But yeah, it is really, really tough. 16 cards in play in 2 different hands, and obviously how much the push varies.
Giant skeleton down on defense. For Cream Royale Betis, 2 Musketeers behind, so if that second one creeps up, you'll see a lot of likely value. Should go ahead and go 1, 2, 3. There you go. Easy decision for AC on that.
Yeah, why not? Easy, easy value, smart decision, positive trade. Lightning's going to be back in cycle in a little bit. You're going to go on offense.
Slightly right now for Space Station, getting this right-hand lane battle. Giant Skeleton pushing into enemy territory right now as we go into sudden death overtime. A little under 100 HP lead right now for Space Station, but it does feel like they have the better of the match.
The Giant Skeleton bombs going off, cleaning up everything on both sides of the river, but nothing there to catch this Giant Skeleton to cross. Gets a tank in for that graveyard, and now walking on through to the tower. Mega Knight comes down a little bit late.
Maybe I spoke a half second too soon there, Andrew. Cream Royale Betis going out to a big lead, 12:56 on the right-hand side. And got to a really aggressive offense, a significant offense out of Space Station.
Yeah, the fact that Space Station is only behind by about 500 HP, and they haven't gone heavy here. Now we see the very first Royal Giant graveyard push in. Royal Giant does get picked up by that it's just a battle at the bridge here for the next minute because they both know, all four of these gentlemen know they have, whoever wins this next bridge battle most likely wins the game and the set.
Correct. The preface over there, Andrew. I thought the Heel Spirit was going to get the Musketeer, but the Musketeer was just a little bit too close. Mega Knight took it off the board, so the Heel Spirit does not do as much for Korean Royale Venice as maybe they would have hoped. And now Graveyard Royal Giant on the right-hand side, dangerously into spell cycle range now is Korean's right-hand town.
Yeah, they just need to get that lightning in with any bit of help. Freeze comes down for Cream. No tanks there, though. This should be an easy win here for Space Station as long as they can keep this at bay.
Lightning comes in, 54 HP. Fireball finishes it off. AC and RF do it into a clean win to open things up. And you see a nice big hug. Is that Luis in there as well?
I think it is. I was like, that's not RF. I believe it's Luis. You can see how hyped up he is. Even I think startled AC at the very beginning of that. And Hawkcraft taking a big, big breath, knowing, AC knows that we're big fans of him. He's a friend of ours, but we have a job to do here at the booth. And I think everyone out there was wondering, is this the correct 2v2 duo to bring out? Well, Diego E and Mitchie Padad faced a lot of top-tier talent, but what we saw at RF and AC today was really, really nice. It felt like they were back in fighting form.
Yeah, no, they really did feel like they were on point. It is, you're seeing a team that's been good, but now you've seen Diego E and Mitchie go twice against the Elite, and they're good. They are a solid 2v2 duo. I don't think we're at a point where you can really call them elite yet, despite the gaudy record. And I don't know for sure that was Luis, but between the jacket and the grabbing the face/neck area, it does feel like that was Trado Luis from my call.
Yeah, completely. So Diego E and Mitchie Padad dropping 2 sets in a row now to ACRF as Dillingham look back to back. And, I mean, you call it, Rich. Before that, it is Pain, Queso, Dig, and Liquid, none of which have outstanding 2v2 duos. So maybe this is the moment where Cream starts to worry a little bit about their 2v2 squad. However, what they've done in King of the Hill and what Mitchie has done in King of the Hill gives them a little bit of breathing room.
Look, their 2v2 is good. They're a good 2v2 duo. There's no question about that. They're not elite. That's what they've done in the last few years. They just aren't in the elite yet. They're not in that top tier. They are not a Morton and Sam. They are not a Burpin and Zines. They're not AC and RF. Could they get there with some more time together? Potentially. But so far we know that they are a solid duo right in the middle of the pack of 2v2.
Yeah, and you know what? With what the rest of their team has been doing, it makes sense that Creed has been having to struggle like the
This is the one where we talked about this beforehand. I think if you go for something big, outlandish, and just try to get RF
3 times. 3 separate games. That's a very difficult task.
There are a few players like that, Andrew, who are just lightning in a bottle. RF is one of them. Ruben is one of them. And, a lot of people thought that Pedro would be one of them. So far, that has not been the case here in CRL West, or really throughout his CRL career. He was pretty good back in Latin America, but 50-50 win rate overall. For Hicks, he went with a 65% win rate on some decent performance in the 1v1 set, but has not quite turned into the world beater that for the team with this coach Eric Bentley said for a long time.
Yeah, some of the stuff we've seen Pedro do in the off-season is incredible, but again, like you said, in CRL, it just hasn't happened. I believe that graveyard could have hurt him here. A lot on the board, a lot of elixir to deal with it in his hand, but still a heavy push coming across this bridge, and a great deal spirit to keep that Ewis alive.
Yeah, that bar barrel basically fed the spirit and kept the Ewis going, so kind of backfires a little bit, does stop most of the bleed, but RF shouldn't have to spend at all to deal with this the opposite end, and will end up with a 2 elixir advantage.
Yeah, 2 elixir advantage, and well, actually no, the damage advantage goes back to Pedro with that one swing in from the right.
RF's head-to-head play has continued to improve over time. 75% win rate in the spring, currently 57% win rate in head-to-head play this season. Go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
Just saying, he's just getting really aggressive with these graveyards. He knows that Mega Knight Ewis combination can come down every single time. So this time he's going to try to get a little bit more damage in with the poison, but now he doesn't have the poison at the bridge. Ewis doesn't stop where RF needs, but still a lot here crossing over.
Yeah, this is a boulder rolling down the hill against Pedro right now. To talk about those spends. Maybe he just believes so strongly in the Ice Quiz Gado Cage combination that he believes that he can overspend and play some basketball defense.
Yeah, I mean, he did it on that last push. Look at where the elixir is at right now, and I have him feeling RF is just going to keep his foot on the gas. I think he goes back in with this. Yep, there it is. Mega Knight in the back to set up that next offense.
Yeah, if you give up a 1 elixir advantage every single time he makes this exchange happen, that's going to soon turn into 3 total or 4 total. We're seeing that grow and grow right now. Finally, high poison to deal with some of these troops and not allow the counter push through, but a bar barrel does tank for a little bit.
Yeah, Royale takes for just a second. There's the offensive poison coming in from RF as he gets the Ice Wind, the Barbarian, and the Baby Dragon. Really, really great value there, which is going to help him win this bridge battle.
Final minute, 20, 80 seconds left in this opening game of King of the Hill. Right now, pretty close. RF with the lead, 17-15 to 17-81. Sets up Mega Knight, Protect the Hunter, poisons the opposite direction.
Yeah, nice poison there from Pedro. Pedro's been doing some really nice things. That last sequence there, he had a very nice high goblin cage to keep his Ice Wizard on the board. So Pedro playing this very, very well, and that's why he is in the lead. But it does, for some reason, still feel like it's RF's game to lose.
Well, there's the damage right there. Huge graveyard. Yeah. Poison comes in, maybe a little late, maybe a little bit extra, but he had so much elixir, he thought, why not in that moment?
So RF gets a great deal spirit on top of that Hunter. Hunter's going to help clean up the Knight and the Baby Dragon. Mega Knight in the back with the Ewis. Great defense there from the god RF.
Yeah, perfectly built there from RF, and now has a good counter push. It looks like there's going to be one more opportunity for Pedro to go the opposite direction, but that's going to be a very small opportunity. No tank can get across. People can play defense. And it looks like RF is going to take game number 1 of King of the Hill.
Yep, 15 seconds remaining. There's the last poison coming in from both of these guys. Now the bridge battle going to ensue with graveyards on the back end. It's going to be all about that RNG, but it's going to go to RF.
So Pedro's woes continue on the season. Drops to a 1-8 record in CRL West for this fall split. RF continues to stack dubs on his subs.
Yeah, I mean, 1-8 for Pedro brings his lifetime career record to 51%. We're talking about a guy that started 55%, 61%, and 56% of his career in head-to-head, and has now dropped down to 11% this season. No matter where he comes out for Cream, it doesn't seem to be working. And I'm at this point wondering if in the next match we even see him at all.
Yeah, it's a possibility. We see Diego E in there. And Diego E has been solid in head-to-head play during the offseason. He's put in his work in in a couple of the small different Brent Chong, I think Brent Chong, the other Rebel AMR tournaments, not to mention what he did back in the spring. King of the Hill for the spring seems to give it 5-1 with his feet. I don't see that reason why not to mix it in.
Just don't get it.
Yeah, I think you're correct, or we are correct. I think Diego E, it's time for him to come in. It's time for Pedro to take a seat and Kelly to figure out what's wrong. He just isn't playing the type of caliber Clash Royale that you have to play this far in the game. We're at CRL 2020 in the fall. Those types of plays that we see out of him aren't going to work. We saw the same kind of things out of Evan, a couple matches ago. But he just very quickly. Now that he had a great performance in the last match, that's what he can do. Now, what can Pedro do?
Not entirely sure. And Cream in a place they haven't been a lot, where they've lost the first 3 games, and now they're relying on their duo to come from behind in this one between St. Pelican and Michifu, having to win, have to take out RF, Lapacati, and Samuel, and then send someone into the 1v1 who you have to match to be bellied again.
Yeah, and if you go and you take a look here at the numbers from Cream, both of those matches that they lost were when they still won that 2v2 set. They had really, really struggled a lot of the times against these better squads in the King of the Hill. And we're starting to see it again today because they don't have that third person that they can rely on for a win on any given day. It feels like it's just 2 people in Michigan and Pelican right now.
I mean, it really is 2 people in Michigan and Pelican. That's what their King of the Hill has been so far. You look at the King of the Hill numbers for Cream overall. Belly is 7-4. Michigan is 4-3. Pedro has not picked up a King of the Hill win. Diego, he hasn't played King of the Hill. You're 100% right. It is all Michi and Belly in this set.
So here we go. Michi trying to do it once again in their last match. He took down Jupiter King to extend it, of course, to push it to that third set where Pelican 2-0'd Jupiter. And then before that, Michi took down Vitor and Wallace, but lost to Lucas. Not quite able to complete the sweep against Hayes.
RF has to be feeling so insanely confident this year. I mean, we talk a lot about the crazy quality 2020 ace pad, and continues to be so good. And with a chance right now to run through 2 more, put Space Station at 4-2, and move to the top end of the pack.
Here we go. Michi going Lava Hound. 1 lane.
So you wait until double elixir in 2v2 for Lava Hound, but go Lava first play in King of the Hill.
Against a graveyard deck. So this flying shield is going to help with that ice wizard. But a fireball has to come down. So that's actually really fortunate there for the God RF. Now he's able to play this baby dragon up high, and it really, really helps push right now.
RF 20 of elixir to work on the back end. Poison comes down. Ice Wiz to slow things up.
Perfect timing there on this sequence. And, if I'm anyone and I see those 5 cards in the hand of the God RF, I don't feel great.
Well, especially the way that he played every single piece of that exchange. From Lava comes down first for Michi, sets up for defense, puts pressure on offense, gets a ton of damage, and then defends. Pretty much, if you were to write a textbook on how to play that entire sequence, we just saw it.
Yeah, and the defensive poison with the late ice switch to tank for the baby dragon, literally textbook plays from the God RF, and he even throws out a little BM laughing goblin because he's better than you in this matchup. He just is.
Well, and there's a word you use there, Andrew, that I really like, and that's the word late. Because there's such a feeling like you want to get stuff down in this matchup, right? Like you don't want to sit there and let things happen. But he waits on the poison, waits on the ice wiz, and gets everything down at the exact right time. Just so perfect.
RF here throwing out another laughing goblin, wondering here if the next 45 seconds he can hold on to this lead, setting up for the defense already. And this is going to be a big sequence here. This is where Michigan's going to sell out, and RF needs to get a big enough stop here to in turn create a slight counter push if he does lose this tower.
Poison Eye takes care of the Flying Machine. It should stay in poison range, and it does. So Flying Machine goes down. Poison will not be available yet on this sequence. He should be back to it, though, I believe, and 1 more card, so it should pop up poison here in just a moment, although might go ahead and NATO this back.
Yeah, I should imagine that NATO's going to come in. Miner's still on top of that ice wizard. Flying Machine on top of the Knight. Nothing on top of the tower other than the Lava Hound. Baby Dragon here holding the line, and RF keeps with the BM here on Michiku, knowing that he had a very, very good game. I'm wondering if he's BMing because if it weren't for that first sequence, maybe Michi would have actually won that game.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back. I'm going to sit back after this and watch that whole game again on slow motion. Because that was a lesson. That was an absolute lesson on how to play that matchup. RF did everything about it perfectly. And I would love to have a microphone in there to know what he was saying to the rest of the team.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at a bit of the replay right now, and they both kind of hold for a second at the beginning. And then RF just cycles cars in the back, which he does go in with that Lava Hound against his first car left-hand side. So RF just goes Night Graveyard opposite, and that's basically all she wrote. Michigan has to play a bar barrel there to respond early, maybe because of the cycle. Not able to get those barbarians down, which is what would have been ideal for him to see there on the left-hand side because they have his bar.
So let's go back and take a look at this opening sequence. You see the Ice Wiz is up high, slowing down the Lava Hound. A lot of damage comes in on the right-hand side, and you can see when the Flying Machine comes down on the back end, you feel like, okay, there's going to be so much damage on the left, but the Baby Dragon gets the pickup, and when this Baby Dragon survives here, that just forces Michi to do so much more.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I learned with a lot from Belly coaching me was when we're playing Lava Hound, we were doing Lava Clone, but you just have to know when to sacrifice tower damage. And Michiku made his decision late there with that fireball on the right-hand side. He fireballed too late, or he should have fireballed way earlier to clean up those skeletons. But the fact that he fireballed when he did after the skeletons had already done so much damage, he should have just eaten those last few skeletons. Power probably would have been around a 400 to 500 HP. But then he would have been able to support that Flying Machine and get that Baby Dragon off the board and be able to create some semblance of a tower trade. But instead, that fireball comes out late, 4 elixir down, no way to get that damage in on that.
Well, it becomes a weird argument, right, between the skill of fast cycle decks versus big beatdown decks. Right? The big beatdown people say, oh, it's not much decision making, but one wrong decision completely tanks everything. Whereas fast cycle decks give you the opportunity to make recovery if you do make a mistake. So it's sort of 50-50. You have to make every decision count with a big deck like Lava, whereas you have to be good at managing the micro and understanding the matchup with a quick cycle.
And then you add in on top of that that you're going up against the person that's the best in the entire world with said win condition or said archetype. And it makes it a lot harder because he knows the matchup. And like I said, he's better than you when he's playing this deck. It's almost the case 100% of the time with RF, as long as he doesn't have a horrible matchup. That's what happens when he runs Splash Drive. And all of those decisions made, and that one thing that we're talking about, like you said with Beatdown, a late fireball, 4 elixir, if you can't support a push with Lava Hound, if you have to have a perfectly supported push coming across the river, there's no way to bounce back. RF's going to defend for the next minute now.
So here we go. Game number 3. Does RF get his
bullshit.
third King of the Hill sweep of the season? That's right, 3 on the season. Or can Belly stop the train right here? The King of the Hill star, the head-to-head star so far for 3 in a really important spot.
Yeah, Belly can now needing to earn that money. And he goes Lava Hound in the back, wondering if we're going to see something very similar out of Belly, but maybe with a clone instead.
Well, that would be very delicate to go with Lava Clone.
That Belly will defend out. Someone's going to come up high on top of that lava. Good timing on that hill spirit, even better fireball.
And again, picture perfect defense out of RF on that one. Comes out slightly behind, though. Bella can get that left-hand tower down to 2,000 HP.
Yeah, the important thing, though, is that RF survived really, really well. A lot of HP, and now he's going to start messing with Belican's cycle. That also means the next time Belican decides to go on the offense, RF will also go heavy on the opposite lane. So this has all become, the ball is down to the favor of the god RF, but he still has me a lot of great plays ahead of him if he wants to win this matchup.
Pressure Ghost forces out the take to the right-hand side. St. Belican's personal best on ladder, 85-26. Best finish, 4th overall in the global ladder rankings.
Belican now resetting. He's going to continue to play this battle on the right-hand side.
And the Fisherman does come back and stay alive a little bit longer. That works nicely for RF. Then again, looks like 2 shots from the Royal Giant on the right-hand side.
Yeah, and really smart here to not even send in 1 extra elixir. Even if it was just the heal spirit, RF did exactly the correct thing. Let that push do what it was going to, and then reset, because he does not want to be down elixir when having to defend against Pelican's lava pushes.
This is the second time we've seen this Royal Giant, Royal Ghost deck today, and the Royal Ghost continues to be an absolute test. Notice that you talk about messing with the cycle of Pelican. Royal Ghost forces the Miner to come out on defense.
Yeah, and that's, again, one of the reasons why I love the Royal Ghost so much. It demands a response, it's beefy enough, it's got great splash damage, and now it's really kind of annoying to kind of deal with its hack.
So Royal Ghost does take care of the Barb up the right-hand side. RF setting up for defense this time around. Flying Machine shouldn't be too difficult to deal with. Bar Barrel does not turn the Flying Machine, but Princess will take care of it.
It's about to be a crazy 5-game sweep from the God RF over Cream to end up taking this here. And right now, he's doing a really good job of